participating specifically in this North American region, as we are going to finally enter onto our first round of Control Deja Vu. We start in where we did previously, and you can also make sure that you give your feedback. We need your predictions. We're going to see if you're right or wrong, chat. I think both you and I, Kenobi, and chat were all wrong last time. We're going to see what unfolds here even now.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be... I mean, chats, what were their predictions? I mean, they were wrong last time.
They were wrong, yeah.
I don't remember what their predictions were for the first game, though, but they can, redeem themselves in our last game here between all of them as we do start things off here on the underground. It is going to be, again, the standard composition. I don't think Pirates in Pajamas is hovering this. I think this would be very difficult to play, but it is Pirates in Pajamas, and it is Strider, who is one of the best Hammond players we have in NA, just their understanding of this composition. So it is a possibility, and I like also that if they end up doing this and they aren't just like holding this at the start, I love the addition of the Symmetra here, because you have to play against that shield, you can just continuously beam up, and you also have the TP to just move yourself around the map. And one of the things that Timeless comp can't really do is get onto someone like that, but they're just using it to go out start, and we are seeing the Hammond comp. So no mirror on Antarctic Peninsula, Rich. This is unprecedented, it feels like.
Yep. Breaking the mold in front of our eyes. The pile drive does land onto the wall, so it does get a little bit of harassment and some generated damage. Doomed already gets an initial pick, though, causing Pirates in Pajamas to have to fall back.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Rocket in the interview when they were playing the Tracer on this map. They said it was really difficult because you have to dodge so much in there. Just a May Icicle is enough to take you down as Snozzler, but the point hasn't swapped back over, and actually Pirates in Pajamas are gaining a lot of pressure right now just in terms of their positioning. Strider's doing a great job of disrupting a lot of what Timeless wants to do on their engagements.
Yeah, not only on the engagements, but have denied the point from actually switching over in Pirates' favor, because they've not been able to actually gain the percentage for Timeless, and they've kept it at the 0-0 stall.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been creating so much time for Haven as Snozzler actually takes down Doomed, and that's a big pick.
This is a massive, slow and methodical play, strategic, and Pirates in Pajamas are setting themselves up for taking this first, and Timeless have to play back in this corner. Bob comes out now. They've generated it. The sound barrier commenced because Bob at this point was going to give extra additional damage, and you even have Kuffa finally eliminated.
What is going to be here in the turret form, seeing what they can find, but without Kuffa, that's a lot of frontlining that they've lost, and Strider is still here. Pirates in Pajamas have picked up this point, and with both of the supports down for Timeless, there's no way back into this, and Pirates in Pajamas played that first fight impeccably. I don't think they could have played it better besides the fact that Snozzler died early. Everything else about it, absolutely well positioned. Haven was positioned so well to just throw those dynamites on the team, continuously rack up that percentage, and once they took Kuffa and Timeless off of high ground, they couldn't get back onto the high ground themselves because Timeless has to take so much time to get there, and they don't want that point to flip over, and now they're going to be walking into a minefield from Strider.
This is not only a play to your strength type of composition, but it's also really putting Timeless into an awkward position to most likely have never really faced off against a Wrecking Ball on this type of control map, specifically since we've seen the Bastion and the Reinhardt. The ult comes through, Wub gets 2, and is now able to take advantage numerically. Doom gets a little low due to the minefield that's there from Strider, but this is now just Pirates in Pajamas looking to hold as long as they can for extra percentage.
Really, really heads up play from Wub there, knowing that they can go after the 2 members that didn't have their mobility cooldowns available to them, get those 2 kills, and once Haven isn't here, it's harder, but Pirates in Pajamas are still here fighting.
The Earth Shatter doesn't land onto Strider since they were elevated off the ground with the grapple, and that's an ultimate wasted because they wanted to secure it, so every extra percent helped.
Soundbarrier committed from Deco. They're probably going to be, in a perfect world, you want to have that for this next fight, but you do have a Kitsune Rush, so a lot of front-loaded damage could potentially be brought into this fight, but also the healing is going to be something that they're going to need going up against Timeless, who have a sound barrier of their own, so they can match a little bit more. But look at them going to that low ground, just checking it, and now that's Doomed already off the high ground, and here can come Strider.
What a just great ball positioning again by Strider, a mechanical god from what we've seen among many within this scene. Going to continue to play dominantly. Percentage still gaining, at least for Timeless. Waiting for an opportunity for Strider to get another decent angle for a pile drive. Cryo freezes out, so they've lost the defensive nature from Doomed and goes down with the assistance of Bob. And again, since that extra adjustment happened in the patch where the focus fire from Haven, it guarantees that the Bob will also give assistance to that direct target. Squid comes in, like you highlighted at the start, as a pro support play with the takedowns.
And one of the things I want the people at home to look out for, we are going to see a swap in composition, so it won't happen, but the way that they're comboing these engages for Pirates and Pajamas with Strider on these engages and Haven throwing the dynamite on top of it, it's just so much damage, and you force out so many cooldowns as Timeless swapped up their composition completely, bringing in a Sombra to try and deal with Strider on this Hammond.
And even more so, if a big dynamite lands, there is the opportunity for the Suzu to mitigate that and attempt to counteract the influx of damage and the generation of the ultimate. Now up top, great pile drive, bolt supports. There is a swift step to maneuver out, so they're not quite near Neptune as they drop down below to give extra assistance to the low ground. Pickups finally coming through, 99 into the overtime, and it's swapped over again.
Get to that 99% last fight territory for Pirates and Pajamas. They do have a sound barrier to work with coming into this next fight, but now it's going to be so much easier with this composition from Timeless to fight for that high ground. They can play a little bit more spread out, so they don't always have to be in the line of the Hammond, but Strider actually just goes over to the Doomfist, so offering a little bit more of that disruption into that backline. It is still really hard to play against the Sombra, and that is something that I would be a little bit worried about.
And you can see a couple of shots come out from Haven looking to deny accessibility, but instant hack, the dive comes in, and you can see how quickly that pickup comes through.
They moved Deco out of the way of the sound barrier, so it wasn't there to be able to cover the rest of the team, and now Wub has farmed up towards an EMP. It's 85% and ticking upwards for Timeless, and look at their ultimate economy, Rich. I mean, Pirates and Pajamas have to make a miracle happen here.
Now 10%. This is the worst timing on this for a recontest. Pirates in Pajamas holding on. Deco gets hacked in the back, and that is going to be a guaranteed conclusion. Despite it looking so dominantly in favor of Pirates in Pajamas, there is a swift turnaround by Timeless.
Really, really heads-up play coming in from Pirates and Pajamas, or for Timeless rather, to switch that composition, right? There are a lot of times where we'll see kind of teams just bash their head against the wall, right? Just continuously just play against the same thing, even though the composition is not going in their favor. And then we'll go into, you know, the fact that they were able to swap over, brought the Sombra out, I think was absolutely huge because Strider just isn't able to do what they want to anymore on the Hammond. And now they get that victory. They go up 1-0, as you can see in chat predictions. They're very close, 56% to 44%. And that's kind of indicative of what I think this is going to be between both these two teams. These are very close teams in terms of power level.
Deja vu moment to open up out of the gates. Pirates in Pajamas going once again back with a wrecking ball. There's a little more elevation and I think a wider playing field for a couple of really decent grapples and pile drive locations that can give them an opportunity here as Timeless still continues to play the catwalk. Stun doesn't quite land up top. It goes a little bit to the side as Strider down below keeps separated. Everyone needs to be cautious on Pirates in Pajamas because they are so low, and the takedown comes in. They've lost the utility and the extra mobility to sustain through this, but there is still some between both Strider and Snozzler until Haven is no longer in the equation.
Yeah, it's really back and forth. I mean, they were able to trade one onto the mate, which is good because then Strider has a little bit more freedom to work with, but in these enclosed areas, if the engages at the start aren't working out where they can force out some cooldowns with the dynamite usage and with the Hammond usage, it is going to be so much more difficult for Pirates and Pajamas to win. As actually Squid is TP'd into this. I think that yeah, that's a bit of an unfortunate scenario for them. TPing, they're not having to jump as well, so they go down. That's just more time taken off the clock for Pirates and Pajamas, and I wonder if they'll be swapping up things a little bit. Deco going over to that Mercy to give a little bit more protection towards that Ashe, who is going to need it against this bum rush from Timeless.
Yeah, the damage boost also going to be extremely helpful when you look to try and dwindle the health on Timeless. Little rotation underneath. Strider getting some pressure on Simonis, and now going to look to rotate back, regrouping with the rest of the team. Play still, not yet finding an opportunity to dive into this yet.
Waiting patiently, Snozzler poking from the back line. There's the turret from Wub, and he's pumping out a lot of damage on the Strider.
And they lock him in the room, so there's no way they can escape, but Snozzler swiftly moves in and gains 2 with a pulse bomb.
I don't know if they have enough to win this one back. The bomb is coming out, so they are going to be ticking up that percentage, and there's a nice dynamite to follow it up.
Now, with the wall finally falling, there's going to be extra damage coming in. Not yet finding the best angle to counteract. The Squid is behind, also drawing attention away. Cuff has taken some decent swings. A swift step barely gets them out into the waking arms of Deco to top them up, and Pirates in Pajamas take it away.
And you can see Haven how much more confidence they have now that they have the Mercy in their back pocket to take those aggressive angles against something like the Mei, take those flanks because they know they have Deco in their front pocket, and if they're going to be able to just hit a couple of shots with damage boost, it works out so well for them. Timeless, though, come back in, 69% for them. They have 4 ultimates to work with. They are walking into a Kitsune Rush and the Minefield.
Nice pile drive, and they are in the midst of it. The sound barrier needs to be thrown into this from Neptune to allow survivability to maneuver their way out of it. Still a couple of decent shots coming down the choke point. Ultimate comes through from Wub in the back, looking to see where the focal point is of the artillery shells. Doesn't quite get anything. Snozzler rotating in the back, takes a little bit of chip damage from Wub, but does get the recall out. Holds the pulse bomb. Kuffa takes down Haven, and now it's a force out. The res comes through the Valkyrie, but while they're standing stationary, Kuffa shuts it down.
I mean, they were trying really hard to bring that one back, and now the point is flipped over, so Pirates of Pajamas need to get out of this fight quickly. They don't want to stagger because they're at 75% on Timeless's side. Looks like everyone does get out, so there will be that last 5v5 available for this Timeless. Oh, Squid goes down! No. That's disastrous!
There's no way that they're going to be able to have a confident re-engagement onto this. There's a... Maybe, that's what I was going to say. There could be a chance, but then you lose that. Almost gets a shot onto Snozzler as now the last few seconds remain.
Yeah, I mean, Snozzler doesn't have recall either for this. Haven will be coming back in, though. Bob is something that they're going to have, but there is also this Blizzard from Doom. You can just throw it on the point and get a lot of value.
Strider almost goes in for the pop. Oh, no! The headshot onto Haven. Doom lands the perfect icicle as Kuffa flanks around. Deku can't get the res to bring this back to a full 5, and now Timeless have been able to not only take the first round, but isolate for the second and give themselves a match point advantage, and you just have Wub sitting there as the turret waiting for Strider to come in. Too late. No time, because it's a lot of Timeless moments as they take this first map.
It was a bit touch and go there for a little bit for Timeless, but eventually, once they kind of like settled down and played on some maps that were a little bit more enclosed and really found the counters to like Strider, found the counters to Haven, focused them a little bit more, it really worked out a lot better for them. So well played to Timeless, who, because I mean, the thing about the Hammond composition, especially when it's a Hammond as good as Strider, it's really hard to play against. Like, yeah. It's really hard. I bet there are a bunch of people in chat who have played against really good Hammonds in solo queue, and it's like torture, right? But when you have the ability to play as 5, I saw some really good things from Neptune in particular, being able to boop away a lot of these engagements from the Hammond. Kuffa's shield management also helped out a lot, because if you can put that shield down in front of the pile drive, it doesn't do any damage. So again, I think it was really good adaptation in the mid-map from Pirates and Pajamas in particular to really hinder what was making Pirates and Pajamas so successful.
And also, there were 2 separate occasions where Timeless really understood the positioning of Strider. This is actually one of them, where they lock them in the corner. Granted, Snozzler's able to get 2 with the pulse bomb, but again, they're finding those couple of angles that really make it difficult for Strider to actually escape. Even though they are extremely liquid, they can get themselves out of so many situations, but when those situations start to narrow in some of these small areas, Timeless was there to capitalize on it.
Yeah, and I think Timeless did a really good job of just, again, the understanding of like kind of how to play against that composition. And now, because Strider is in play, and we'll see if Strider continues to be in play as we go forward into our next map, which is going to be Blizzard World, which makes so much sense to me. Obviously, I think this is a really good map pick for them because it's more open, right? Hammond does thrive on maps like this, especially on second. I think Hammond has a really good time. It's a little bit harder to play on first, depending on like where you are on attack or defense, but on second, it's really, really good for them. And potentially that means that if you're Timeless, you can't play your, standard style of rush composition. But luckily enough for them, we did see them go over to that Winston. We did see them run the Tracer Winston, and it worked pretty well against what Pirates and Pajamas was running. So we have already seen Timeless, figure out a little bit about what Pirates and Pajamas wants to do. And now on a map that's like very kind of favorable to the composition that Pirates and Pajamas is running, we'll see if Timeless can continue that.
Yeah, and that's where I think that Pirates and Pajamas are going to be a little bit more in their element, because with as well as they played on Arctic Peninsula, which is not typically, I think, the best map for like
for
that
Hammond?
type
No.
of Hammond and everything else, like realistically, like, but it looks like it works because it's Strider. Like that's the thing is,
that
when
exactly.
you anchor
took the words right out of my
when
mouth.
you anchor it specifically around that individual with the level of skill and tactical awareness with that hero in and of itself, it makes it look a lot more viable than what we would look to emphasize elsewhere. And now that's my biggest concern as we deviate away from it and go into this type of map. And I 100% agree with you how Timeless is going to be able to respond, because they, as we talked about adaptation, you commented on a couple of occasions during the last series, that's what's going to happen from Kuffa, and it started to really work for them on that map until it came to the second round where the Reinhardt and the Bastion were able to just ever so slightly continue to take the advantage and counteract the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, and as we do go into, Blizzard World and figure out where we're going to be going, I also expect we'll see something different potentially in terms of the supports. Also, I think this is a map where like Ana thrives a lot, especially on the defensive end, Zenyatta as well, where you have those long sight lines to move forward to. So if we do see something like a dive, it's going to be important to figure out like where are these dives coming from, getting into that backline, because that'll be probably the main focus, right? Hammond is very survivable, but you still need supports to be able to keep you alive, because if your supports just die, it's so much harder to have a lot of these fights. So we'll see again if we do see any swaps from Timeless. I would expect them to probably not run the Reinhardt composition, especially because Kuffa is just so good at Winston, right? That's like the biggest thing for me. A lot of the times when we've talked with these teams so far, it's been like, oh yeah, we're playing a lot to like what is the strength of our specific team and like members on our team, which you're seeing right now with Strider playing on ball, but like Kuffa is so good at Winston that I think it's definitely something that you have to be accounting for going into a map like this. And I think also if you're on the other side for PiP, you're probably aware that like Kuffa can play Winston and play it at a high level against what you're going to be running with the Hammond.
Yeah, and to build on it even further, when we talk about the differentiation between the Wrecking Ball versus the Winston, there's a lot of emphasis on the setup time dynamic for the Wrecking Ball. That with the Winston, it has that on-demand entry. You can instantly jump in, you can look for capitalization when you're coordinating with your DPS to try and find an opportunity, whereas with Strider, you need a little bit of that setup. You have to find your angular momentum to get that engagement onto the back line, and because of those variations in tempo and timing, I'm curious to also see how that's going to play out when we look at these two uniquely selected tank dive mechanics and with how they play with their counterparts of the DPS.
And I think the other thing that that we talked about in terms of the counters to like the Hammond composition, Hurix mentioned this on the previous match, or 2 matches ago, I guess at this point, but they mentioned that the Junker Queen is something that has, not necessarily countered fully the Junker or the Hammond, but it does offer a little bit of counter play to it. It's not like a hard counter, right? It's still very difficult to play against the Hammond, but the Junker Queen is something that is possible, and that also we've seen Kuffa play, especially back in A sides and B sides.
Absolutely, as we finally get to enter in onto this map of Blizzard World to see what our expectations are moving forward. And you even mentioned last time that you have a friend out there and you have those that are in the chat that really enjoy this. We get to pan in across the shark. Did you know that they actually have more than 7 rows of teeth? Like it's over like 100 teeth inside of the shark's mouth. You know how terrifying that is? Like fun fact.
Yeah, I already hate the sea, so you're making
do you
me
really?
hate it more at this point. I cannot stand the ocean.
Really? I didn't know. Yeah, we learn something new every day.
When you have fear of like the deep sea, like thalassophobia?
Is it? Yeah. It's that's gonna bug me now. Somebody in chat, gotta Google it for us. At us.
Yeah, I hate that. Whatever that is.
So like you're okay with like ponds and rivers and stuff?
If I can look down and like see the ocean floor, I'm fine with it. If I look down and just see like the black void, then like no, I hate it.
Oh, okay. So like if we ever wanted to hang out on the beach, like that's okay.
Sure,
like with ice cream, like from Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, with ice cream. Bringing it, got to circle it all the way
like
back.
Like comedians, but we're going to enter into this and go full circle when we talk about how they're going to look to enter in with this dive composition, as we have Pirates in Pajamas on the attack and Timeless on the defense.
So we're seeing Timeless on the defensive end with their Winston composition. So the thing about this is that they're going to be able to hold some space for themselves, but they have to be wary about this dive coming in from Pirates in Pajamas, right? When you have Strider getting these angles, and the setup from them is going to be huge with the Sombra and with the Tracer. There is a lot of dive potential with this composition, but they don't have a Kiriko, so it's just going to be a 3-member dive here to create space for that Zen and the Ana to get some angles.
And seeing how the 3-2 combination is going to work. On this execution, Kuffa peeks the corner, but is hacked. and has the Discord Orb and gets blown up. They do at least take down Deku. The trades come through, but this is looking wildly low for them to contest onto it, and you at least have Pirates in Pajamas wanting to gain this initial tick. They're still being denied. They rotate back and at least get something for their troubles.
I mean, they are going to have technically a closer respawn, as Kuffa has actually gone over to the Hammond themselves, so we're seeing a Hammond here just to get back onto this point a little bit quicker.
This is the best kind of Overwatch, friends. When we see this type of variety to counteract against Strider, a master of the ball, as now we see a recovery. At least Snozzler goes down. There's a chance for Timeless to stabilize here. They're getting a couple staggered picks, and Kuffa says, all right, Strider, I want to go blow for blow.
That was such a good engage from Timeless there. The hack perfectly timed from Wubbed and Kuffa with a really good engage to just follow everything up. And Timeless do give over that one singular tick, but for them, that's totally fine. You're still holding nice on this defense. Doomed is coming up on a pulse bomb. Unfortunately for Timeless, Wubb is a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of just having that Sombra EMP, but it's not too far away where they can't make up some of that time.
Not at all. And now with 2 minutes, you can see that Strider still continues to maintain the high ground, looking again for a setup, but Wubb stealthily dropping down the stairway to assist Doomed underneath. The hack comes in onto Squid, so they do not have the ability to transition through a lot of healing with the orbs. A Snozzler in the back with the pulse bomb holstered for now, waiting to... What a read on that for Wubb! Getting them out of their stealth to come back and recontest. PiP having presence on this point, but can't quite find the picks until eventually they, after a period of time, work in their favor.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to take Wubb out, or not really take him out, but get him out of that fight so early, meant that the rest of Pirates in Pajamas knew that they could have that engage into that backline because Wubb was not going to be in that fight, so Strider could play as freely as they want. And now Pirates in Pajamas, I mean, win that just off the back of a singular nano, which is great for them because now they have a Transcendence to work with to block out any of the incoming damage from a Kitsune Rush, from the Sound Barrier, also from the EMP that's going to be coming in as well. So Pirates in Pajamas have a lot of tools to continue this momentum through second.
Oh, there's so much applied pressure, though, on to Haven. Doom gets the trade, and this is a great opportunity for Timeless to look for a stall and deny them presence, as this is a significant amount of contribution from the Kiriko and Timeless.
This feels like a battle of like the flex supports right here, because the Kiriko in the center are getting a lot of value just by being able to farm from afar in a lot of these scenarios, and Pirates in Pajamas can come back into this, and both teams have a full set of ultimates. There's just the Ana Nano boost missing, so a lot of particle effects going to be in this next fight.
Wubb with Kuffa. There's the EMP. Lands onto Squid, and Snozzler is able to get the pulse bomb out despite 1-for-1 trade. With Kuffa eliminated, that's going to be no more harassment with that big tank on the front side. And things go a little bit sketchy on this angle, with Pirates in Pajamas able to hold on for a decent amount of time.
I mean, they're trading back. Can Doom get the health back? No, they can't. Strider is able to take them out, and it feels like this is just so back and forth with a lot of these picks here, and it's just coming down to a lot of the time the usage of these pulse bombs. Getting the first pick is really, really huge in a lot of these fights. But again, Timeless come out of this fight without using a very key ultimate, which is that Kitsune Rush, and I wonder if they would have preferred to maybe switch over to something else, like a Zenyatta, like an Ana, kind of match what Pirates in Pajamas is running, but they can't because Kitsune Rush is such a valuable ultimate, but it's a lot of time that's being taken to use it.
There was a hack that came out from Wubb onto Strider as well, so they are aware that the ultimate is available with a minefield. Playing down below, looks for the... Oh my goodness, Wubb, 8 HP, able to translocate out just in time. Has to go for the pack, so it's a 5 versus 4 within this small room, knocking them into the corner. This is absolute chaos with the Kitsune Rush from G2.
I don't think I've ever seen a fight happen on this part of the map. Like, I have never seen just like 5 members just completely brawl in that part of the map before, but it happens here, and Pirates in Pajamas have to retreat here. And again, this is the thing about Hammond that's interesting, is that it takes so long to set up a lot of these fights and like get in positions with the Hammond and with the Sombra as well, that we've dwindled this time bank down to only 1 minute and 30 seconds for Pirates in Pajamas. Luckily though, they're gonna have an EMP, and we saw how effective it was last time from Haven, getting a lot of value.
Haven now, look for the... Oh, wow. Barely survived through that, and Haven almost even getting the follow-up onto it as well. Ooh, there's a detection though. A little bit of trading on down below. Discord Orb land onto Kuffa, so they have to fall back and look for it to drop, and they go back in for a stealth.
Waiting patiently. EMP still available for Haven. He's looking for that perfect moment to get into that backline and see who he can find. A minute is left. Wub is getting close to their own EMP as well, and Haven is actually being caught out of stealth.
Looking for the timing to get back into it. Couple more seconds before they can elude, but Squid finds a pickup onto the mirror. Haven now does get an EMP, and both supports, once again, hard focused. It leads in so beautifully, despite them getting caught out for the moment, are able to refocus, get to the high ground, and manage to take this checkpoint.
That's so huge from Squid. I mean, Squid, against both of these flankers, Squid needs to be like an extremely good mechanical Zenyatta, and there they do absolutely that. You're going to be seeing them on the flank here. Bam! Wub is completely annihilated off the map, and if Wub can't get those advantages against the Zenyatta, that means you have more time to reset, you have to take longer to set up, and that's just a moment where Pirates in Pajamas can hit go.
EMP to counter, lands on just a couple in the back line. There's a boost onto Squid, mind you. The transcendence from Deku probably wasn't intended as Kappa looks to flee, falling back for the regroup. Even Doom doing the same to drop the Discord orb and have to look for another engagement. But Strider's coming in hot and looking to keep the tension high.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to zone members out through the back line. I think that Nano is actually really good onto Squid to keep him alive through all that incoming damage, because you get that 50% damage reduction. And we have another engagement here, Doom, with the pulse looking for the back line.
Tossed does get Deku, and Kappa follows on to Strider. They have able to stem the bleeding. The Kitsune Rush was also contributed to that, though.
And I wonder, do we see Timeless swap? And no, it looks like they're going to keep the Kiriko. It seems like they're really favoring the Kiriko and the ability the Suzu brings you to potentially dive onto the backline with the rest of the team with that Swift Step. Also, the Suzu helps you a lot in terms of dealing with an Ana, so that's something that they have to think about as well. Both these Hammonds have that, oh my god, Squid just again did it. I saw it on the corner of my eye. Squid just completely annihilated another flank for BBS.
The amount of damage and executions that are coming out from the support line has really been astonishing to watch, and now you can see that Wub looks to counteract it, denies Squid from continuing to get this Discord into play, but this is still giving distance here for Pirates in Pajamas.
We're still waiting patiently. There is only 10 seconds left right here. Pirates in Pajamas, Snozzler ready with that pulse bomb available to them, but they have a lot to deal with on the other side with Timeless. There's a sound barrier, so a lot of sustainability available for them.
Strider up top, looking for when they can drop down. Nice boop to remove Strider. Almost actually maneuvers out of the overtime. Somebody's got a touch. Snozzler comes back in. Strider close by. EMP in the back. Squid is vaporized in that EMP. Haven with 1 HP to their name. And at this point, it's just getting as much extra distance as you can, despite it being contested. Strider is bobbing and weaving with no assistance in healing to top themselves back up. A pile drive attempts to come in, but they're blown to bits mid-air. And that will be the overtime withering away with an 82.3 meter gain in the final stretch.
I mean, finally at the end, Wub got the better of Squid at the very end. The very last EMP. It took them a long time to do that because Squid was about to take over this server completely, but at the very end, Wub was able to get down that key member of the Zenyatta. So yeah, this fight was also incredible. I've never seen a fight.
They're just stuck on the sign. They're just stuck on the sign. They're just right in StarCraft. Like, they're just in it.
They're just in StarCraft. I would love to be. Well, no, actually, StarCraft is like a really dangerous place to be. Now that I think about
absolutely.
It. Aliens.
Not to mention the actions per second on that game. When you see the screen flicker around from like a tier 1 player, I have like...
Look, all I know how to do in StarCraft is 6 pool or cannon rush. If those don't work, I just lose. I cannot do anything else.
Mine's Marine Rush, so that's all I know how to do. I would love to know how to do Protoss Ray build. I bio ball. But it's that, but I would love to know how to Ray tech, but I can't get to it fast enough because somebody out texts me, and then I'm just like sitting there idly in the back watching my life flash before my eyes in a matter of like 10 minutes, but that's neither here nor there as we take a swap of sides, and we do see that it is still a decent distance accumulated by Pirates in Pajamas. Can't discredit them for that, but now Timeless, with how they were able to kind of make these adjustments, they found a little bit of defensive prowess to hold them in the end before completion, and now on the attack are looking to do the same thing.
Yeah, it was really back and forth between both these teams in terms of like that neutral fight where we had a lot of that setup going on. Timeless, though, is sticking back over to the Winston, which I think is more of like a comfort thing. Kuffa did look okay on the Hammond, but I think the Winston is like if they had to pick their preferred style of going forward on a tank. So one of the things about this composition is that you can hold this space really, really well and take it slow. They have to be a little bit slow here because wherever Strider comes from, he can disrupt that space and get one of those pile drives onto the back end.
Kuffa quickly onto the back line since they're within that small room. Rounding the corner, Strider giving some extra assistance. Squid actually eliminates Neptune, and they completely counteract this dive by Timeless. They had to cover so much distance, and a lot was contributed into to get there.
I mean, we don't talk about it a lot with, like, Hammond, but Strider peeled the hell out of that fight. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You saw the dive from Timeless, got so aggressive to try to get Squid onto the back line, and Strider comes in, hits 4 members out of the dive window, and they can't follow up on the damage. Haven has to translocate out. It doesn't end up working, or rather, Wub has to translocate out, and they can't finish that dive and kill Squid. And if we've seen, if you give Squid enough time to just stay in the back and shoot, he's going to end up killing those flankers.
Curious to see how this next engagement's going to pursue. They've got eyes on Squid, but there is covering not only from the Ana play, but Haven just behind. And at this point, they're really trying to take this front engagement. Strider to the bottom right, over towards the coast, making sure that they aren't going to be too out of position. And just Timeless has to reset and go in for another one.
Waiting too patiently. You can see Snozler holding this pulse bomb available to them. Recall is used, so they are a little bit vulnerable.
There's the dive. Here's the Bionade. Pulse comes in. No healing going to be gained. Wub at least gets the pickup. Both supports are down, despite them getting 2 on Timeless's side. That gives them the chance to sustain because they have at least a healer.
Pirates and Pajamas still can come back into this, though. Strider is full health and has this minefield, but they are hacked.
Oh, big pickup. Hyper focus. Great play by Pirates in Pajamas despite being down the supports.
They're still holding this one pretty well for themselves. The respawns have come in for Timeless. The Neptune will be back in this fight. There's a nice pulse from Doomed onto Deco. That Ana is gone. That's so much healing that's not here.
Oh no, the dive gonna come through as well onto Squid. They are just left broken in the back line and will guarantee Timeless presence on this point.
Yeah, just got to clear out these minefields, and then they should be able to take this one up to a victory here. Squid, unfortunately, not able to use that Transcendence because of the hack from Wub, and Pirates and Pajamas going to forfeit this first point. Timeless going to start moving forward themselves through second with 4 minutes in their time bank. EMP is available for both of these teams here. The big difference is that there is that Transcendence on the other side for Squid, and you can already see Wub is in that backline. You can see that little silhouette. They're pinging as to where the Zenyatta is consistently, knowing that that's really the key factor here. If they can take down the Zenyatta, they lose the Transcendence, and that's a lot of healing that's coming.
Now with Kuffa diving in, taking space, guaranteeing that there isn't a chance to return, but Strider and also the Suzu going to be committed into this.
Oh.
Doom just gets chased down, boloed instantly by Strider.
Yeah, that's something you don't see every day, but there Strider was able to win the 1v1 against the Tracer. As Timeless now, all that space that they've taken, it has to be forfeited just a little bit here in this scenario. As you can see, both these teams fighting again, trying to get those Sombras into good positions.
Nice, forcing the Winston into the corner, has to pop the shield to mitigate that outsource of damage from Snozler. Even forces the Primal Rage because they were in such a deficit. And now, at this point, attempting to really find an angle to play, but they don't really have the assistance, and the Discord Orb is on top of them.
Oh, the EMP comes through, but the Transcendence is well timed. Snozler gets 2 off the back end against Kuffa and against the Kiriko, and that's going to be a fight completely lost. Well played from Squid to be able to use that Transcendence in time to be able to stay alive through all that EMP damage. And Pirates and Pajamas, they didn't even use their own EMP, and now Kuffa has just said, okay, well, the Winston not really working out as much right now. I have to, go into a Tracer, go into a Sombra, go into a Zen. I just don't want to play this, so he's going to go over to the hand.
Squid almost took off one of the domes from Timeless with that volley from a distance. Pulse Bomb will be able to get the first execution onto Deku, so they do have a chance to get back into this. Down below, locked again in this side room, only instead of it being on the upper floor, it's the lower floor, and Timeless is going to be able to take advantage of this while Snozler still looks to play the game around the health pack.
He's going to end up going down, though. No cooldowns available to Snozler. Timeless start moving this cart forward even more so. They still have the sound barrier available to them, so sustainability, but that's all they have at this point. And Haven is still holding on to this EMP.
And now it's going to be used in the back, isolating one and guaranteeing a hack on the other. Neptune, for the moment, just going to play a little bit more careful out towards Snozler. Gets a nice boop once the hack fades, so it keeps distance. They don't go down. Neptune, unfortunately, in the end of it all, won't be able to live for much longer. Just only 1 meter, less than that even, for Timeless to situate themselves. The minefield buys some time. Haven with the fancy feet right now.
Haven can't die.
The orb from Squid What a beautiful play to hold on to this. Oh my goodness, Pirates just treacherous waters ahead and they're sailing through it.
Yeah, Haven needs to buy Squid and Deco steaks after this. Like, that's unreal that he was able to survive through that, and that's all based on the healing coming out from those supports who came back in. A fantastic minefield as well from Strider to really make it difficult. 0.07 meters was all that separated Timeless from getting second, and now they only have 30 seconds left.
This is a desperate hour from Timeless. That is not how you wanted that to finish off. That was a guaranteed point, but now with these last seconds remaining, it's all on the shoulders. Oh, wow. Doomed finds the pickup. You've got now a great Suzu to deny that control from the hack onto Kuffa to solve. It is beautifully done, focus firing onto that hack. Pirates in Pajamas are not going to recover this time, and there is another lifeline for Timeless.
Timeless get their extra life here at the very end, but it's only 1 minute and 40 seconds. Luckily, they don't have to complete the entirety of the map. Pirates in Pajamas still have a hefty time bank in their back, or hefty ultimate economy in their back pocket against this Transcendent, or against this EMP, against this Pulse Bomb. There is going to be that Kiriko Rush that could change everything because you get a lot of healing output in this field, and Pirates in Pajamas will have to respect it.
Doomed looking for that flanking position again. Try and get intel. How they want to engage this. Goes right into the support line. Gets quickly attacked, but is able to recall out. The Pulse Bomb doesn't get the value, but Strider on the opposing side able to get one.
I mean, that was just a panic ult from Doomed because he was taken to 43 health, and he's like, I just have to make something happen here. But Squid, again, really good understanding of the timing of when these dives are going to come in as well. He's looking for this backline, but he's only 107 health, so this EMP is going to be everything.
Oh, able to force out the translocate onto Haven. So
do they find
some space. They're looking at the back. The EMP onto two. Both! Oh, wow. Two go down in that. And unfortunately, no one's close enough. And the fact that they have the Kiriko CC'd through the hack guarantees that there's no way that they can even Swift Step or even Suzu.
They did get the EMP out, though, but unfortunately for Timeless, they might be thinking that as a win, but Pirates in Pajamas have 4 other ultimates in their back pocket as well. Timeless need to make something happen with this EMP. Wub needs to find that back line before Swig can get that Transcendence, and they need to take down the Zenyatta toot sweet.
Now, as the pulse elevates, 3 are hit! Squid is down, Deku follows! Timeless is able to pull through, but Strider has gained 2 of their own. Neptune still alive. Kuffa has the ultimate. The Kitsune Rush now finally fading. Kuffa low, half health. Neptune is going to have a challenge to keep them topped up as the overtime activates. Strider underneath. The distance is being covered. Everyone from Pirates in Pajama is coming back in defensively since they're closing it. The minefield, yes, gains the space. The Transcendence comes in to mitigate most. Strider as well lands a couple through the barrier. And now a pile drive comes in to also get rid of the rest. Doomed with the pulse bomb on the cross side. The support is down. Squid also low. They're making space. Timeless is still in this, and they want to close it out now.
Oh, Haven's 1 health gets taken down. It's just Snozzler. It's just Strider now who's left, but they're hacked and they're gonna get taken down.
Overtime, once again, they at least managed to get the follow through. The mines are zoning them away. Can they keep them far enough away? But Kuffa's still in range. They've knocked them into it, but it's not enough damage. The supports keep them topped up. That is Kuffa holding strong and putting a front to Strider on this wrecking ball play under 1 meter. The respawn advantage don't matter. Timeless use every second to the wisest as they now put themselves at a 2-0 lead and find themselves on a match point.
What a clutch from Timeless, with the composition as well, that we always think Strider, the best ball that we have in NA, right? One of the most immaculate players that we have on Hammond, but they're Timeless with a composition that you could argue is not their own, come in and make some unreal clutch plays at the end. That last engage where they, with Doomed and Wubbed and Kuffa, where they insta-killed the Zenyatta, that from that point on, it would have taken a miracle that we almost saw from Pirates in Pajamas to bring that one back. Well played from Timeless at the very end, clutching that one out.
Chills indeed for many of us that are watching, and you and I as a whole, but we found ourselves at a 2-0 scoreline, which means that we have to enter into a break for a brief moment, so don't go anywhere. We're curious if Pirates in Pajamas can bolster their morale to make a reverse sweep, or Timeless is sending them packing. Don't go anywhere. Hello, and welcome back. We're here to continue. We have ourselves a very dominant performance by Timeless, but also one from Pirates in Pajamas. The time is running short right now, though, as we are going to have possibly a reverse sweep. And with that being said, we are entering onto our third map, which is going to be Junkertown. We get to see it again. I know you're in pain, but for all those out there, I'm going to make you giggle a little bit.
I don't have a clock or anything with me that like represents time. I have a pirate hat somewhere, but I didn't bring it with me. But yeah, we are going to be on Junkertown. Or I think it's like somewhere. We are going to be on...
I'm trying really hard. I'm hoping that PiP can make this. I don't have a string, so I'm making it work. But yeah, we'll see if they can come back into it.
Okay.
Yeah, just do this. This is what we're gonna do. I'm
trying to do analysis here, and you're putting post-its on your head. Like I just why even bother at this point? You don't need me. You're more entertainment than like for the both of us. You're just enough for the both of us here. But we do have our next map. It is going to be Junkertown, where we're going to next, which is, again, one of those more open maps. Very good for Hammond if you're going to be running that. If you're Strider, still in this matchup. It is interesting to me, though, if we see anything switch on the other side. Like, Junker Queen is something that here I would expect. Like, here, I think you can play Junker Queen. Be pretty okay with it. I think also this is going to be a matchup where I'm very excited about the hit scans battling up against each other, because you have Wubbed, you have Doomed on the other side, then you have Haven and Snozlar. I think we'll probably see something like a Tracer with both these compositions and how they've been playing it so far, but like Haven and Wubb on a hit scan matchup, like, yes, please give me that, and I think that's going to be a very key indicator in this matchup.
Well, and we also have to take a look, if we, pull the camera back a little bit, let's get a wider view, not only to what the compositions are going to look like for this map, we also find ourselves in the same kind of predicament where, yes, if PiP playing on this can utilize the Wrecking Ball and what they bring into this and are able to take the map, we find ourselves in another position of where, hey, that's great, they got this win, but now it puts the map selection back in favor of the opponent when you're at a 2-map deficit. So there's a lot riding on this, that this not only needs to be an opportunity for momentum to gain the advantage and to put a point on the board, but also to just gain that extra morale to know how you're going to counteract against the team who, mind you, Timeless has actually stepped up and gone like UFC fighter chest to chest, like against this Wrecking Ball play from Strider. Like they're right there in like the showstopper kind of thing when they're like, let's go. Like what's that called again? Face off. They're the way in. Yeah. That's what it feels like.
It does feel like very much like a kind of anything you can do, I can do better type thing, where it's like Kuffa is saying to what is arguably, we consider a lot of the time, one of the best Hammonds that we have in NA, that we are going to be like matching up against you, and we're totally confident in it as well. And we're seeing actually some differences to start things off here at the start. Actually, looks like Pirates and Pajamas will just forego that completely. I didn't see what was happening in that chat, but I think someone said something about the motorcycle.
They broke the motorcycle, they win, nothing else matters.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see what Push is going to look like, because we don't need to play this match out. There's no reason to do that.
No, we just cast it aside and we look again. It's kind of like one of those moments where we didn't see any Zarya play earlier. That didn't happen. And so now we're going to enter.
Dude, you're so mean to Kindred. Kindred doesn't need to. Kindred's taking strays for no reason now.
We love Kindred. That's all that matters. We just know that. Now you're going to see Wubb looking for a great pickup. Haven was low in health, so that was free pickings from the wings and goes back for a reset.
But it's good positioning from Wubb to like be in a position where they can like focus down the Widowmaker if that ever were to happen. And you can see actually Haven swapping over as Snozlar obliterates Doomed in that Tracer 1v1. Strider gets extremely low and taken down though. For turn.
Managing now with this still 3 minutes to work with. Offensively, Pirates in Pajamas going to continue to move this payload forward. Kuffa's a little bit caught out. The Discord Orb guarantees the extra damage, and now they're kind of scrambling from Timeless side.
This is a little bit back and forth. Pirates in Pajamas will have a semblance of a respawn advantage, but since it's Hammond can get back to the point extremely quickly. But what you've done here is given up a lot of space, which look at Zenyatta's going to get a lot of avenues to work forward.
Wubb, nice attempt on the hack, but it comes short as there is a Discord Orb shortly after. That is a big focus onto Kuffa. Kuffa, unfortunately, really just getting the short end of the stick here in a lot of these engagements and really losing value against the way the Pirates in Pajamas is playing.
And I mean, the thing about it is, it's not really even Kuffa's fault in that scenario where Kuffa goes like really deep, but because of the fact that they gave up so much ground, you have a Zenyatta who can just free fire into you as much as they want, put Discord Orb onto you, and you're getting that pile drive at like half health. So it's just like it's kind of a desperation thing at that point from Timeless. But Pirates and Pajamas have control, 4.5 minutes to go forward through second. It's going to be a little bit more enclosed here in these scenarios as we see the Sombras and the Hammonds dueling it out here in this enclosed room in the mini.
Nice take on the pack for now, keeping distance. Haven going to play much more forward to get the intel on wherever we're coming back into this, waiting for a full 5 from Timeless. As there's still Kuffa looking up top, waiting for the dive to come through and coordinate. As both supports you can see hiding up in that left position by the poster sign. No one can even really get to them, and this is just free card progress for now.
They're getting so much value through just kind of posturing aggressively here in this scenario, and Haven looking for an EMP on the counter.
It's a quick 2 onto Strider and the support. Squid does at least have the Transcendence to manage through it, as there is a regroup. Pulse Spawn comes out. Nano Boost once again onto Squid to keep them topped up and utilize that defensively, as there is still some decent space to be had. Kuffa drops the minefield, separates actually 2. Squid's even low in the backside and is able to get topped up and survive through that backline pressure. But the hack from Wub in the wings gets the pickup, and Kuffa takes the other.
Oh, and the Transcendence was on the back line as well to keep Cal available throughout all of that. The Zenyatta does not die throughout any of it. Haven is still actually able to keep their EMP, which is kind of a benefit prior to Pajamas, because a lot of what they were getting was extra credit just off the basis of winning that first fight. So now they can come back in with an EMP of their own. Timeless, because the Transcendence was forced out, has nothing to deal with it against it, and not even an EMP of their own. So this should realistically be a free fight from Pirates and Pajamas if they can find that backline.
And you can see, look at that long distance positioning by Haven, right by both of the supports. They're separated though, so it's going to be more challenging to get to, but now that they're lined up, Wub actually takes the initiation first, removing Snozzler. Strider goes in for that great pile drive, doesn't even need to contribute the EMP at this moment, translocates out, everyone else starts to follow up onto it, and again, Pirates, as you said, take this very cleanly and just need to eliminate the last few.
I mean, Strider is so good mechanically on this hero. The fact that they were able to get over there without using like too many cooldowns and finish off the kill, combo along with Wub, absolutely unreal. Neptune goes down, so that's a lot of healing that's lost on Timeless's side.
Kuffa at this point has to abandon ship, leave the payload until they can get more numbers and reinforcements to attack on this position. Now that they do have a decent few, Strider a little bit in an uncomfortable position down below, doesn't have the space to use the grapple to get out, and they are eliminated. So now Kuffa can rotate back and continue positioning themselves on this point.
Wub is also going to come back with EMP, so if this fight keeps getting elongated like this is winnable for Timeless.
Haven, gets clipped on the mine as they get knocked up and find themselves in the grave.
And now this is going to be a really, I mean, Strider is in the backline here. I don't think that they're going to be able to find any kills. They actually might just dive for this, which is a lot of ultimate charge that's given over to the team of Timeless in this scenario. I think that there was a little bit overzealous from Strider in that scenario, but this defense is going to be really good position-wise for Timeless, right? Look where their card is. There's no semblance of a respawn advantage for Pirates and Pajamas, and Pirates and Pajamas have to walk into Timeless, so walk through all of that spam from the Zenyatta. The good thing, though, is that they have Strider, who's coming up on Minefield, so he can break open that backline and make them uncomfortable to not just spam.
I'm watching you, Wub. We've got an EMP online, and we want to see...
Oh, they see the translocator.
Activate it. They know that it's there. They're going to communicate that. Hacks it out. They don't even need the translocator. They're going to deny any availability to reposition and goes right back into stealth.
Really good scouting from Wub there, who has, I mean, again, throughout the scouting that they've been getting, he's gotten so much value, and they've actually found the Zenyatta to get the Transcendence out.
That is so massive, and again, it's just this consistent information gathering that both Strider and Haven are doing and causing so much disruption to that.
Kuffa gets discorded and taken down low. Squid is all dove on into the backline, but on the other end of it, there's Strider with that minefield on the cart, and it's able to get the
Transcendence active on the point to keep it contested, to regroup back onto it defensively. Timeless, unfortunately, doesn't have enough in the tank to get themselves to hold this, and that will be now just under 2 minutes for Pirates and Pajamas to work with in the home stretch.
Timeless gonna switch over their composition a little bit, going over towards the Kiriko instead of that Zenyatta, so offering a little bit more of that dive potential alongside Kuffa. You can get in, throw down that Suzu directly onto that Hammond and keep him alive a little bit longer so you can get those cooldowns back and recontest that dive.
Haven gonna get sought. Oh, they cross paths in the night. Don't find one another. EMP, beautifully positioned, instantly takes advantage on this attacking presence from Pirates in Pajamas, and now they can look to hold these doorways and watch how Pirates in Pajamas are gonna enter in.
And it's going to be very hard for them to enter in because the door has been closed, so there's really only 3 avenues in for Strider at this point, and they can cover all of them. They know exactly where the dives are going to be coming from. They have Love, who's still here on the scout. Luckily, though, Pirates in Pajamas have ultimates to just be able to brute force their way in if they need to, but they only have 50 seconds left.
And there's going to be a flanking position by Doom with the pulse bomb. Kuffa up top still harassing and holding ground. Squid gets the pickup again onto Doom, denying this tracer value.
They've got to put some respect on Squid's name, man, because he is deadly to these flanker DPS, and that's a fight win that you get just by the value of that Zenyatta. You don't have to use any ultimates, so now you can come back in, get more space for your team, and there's an EMP.
3 players clipped by it. Nice reposition to survive. Nobody goes down on Timeless. The entry now from the flanking position. Lovely job by Strider, but gets locked into the corner. Doomed and Kuffa work wonders as there's only 10 seconds left.
And it's just a lonely little Tracer trying to touch this card at the end, but it's covered in mines. They're not even going to make it there, and that's going to be Pirates in Pajamas. Unfortunately, not being able to move this card forward any further. Actually, they do get Strider back onto contest. He still has Minefield, too.
Wow, tosses it out. The hack is going to make it a lot more challenging to get out, though, unfortunately. Haven counteracting Wub, so they can't get any further hacks. Nice one-for-one trade, but again, you've lost a tank versus a DPS. Haven playing close. The Minefield gives some space to maintain. They've been detected and need to be cautious before looking to counteract onto Wub once again, but Wub gets Squid. It's now all onto Deco. They've been looking to try and hold on to this and seeing what they can do with it, but it's really not going in their favor. That is everything from Timeless, able to hold and stem the bleeding, and now the goalpost has been set. Timeless in a position to know exactly how far they need to get to knock out Pirates in Pajamas and continue on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad haul for Pirates in Pajamas, all things considered. Obviously, you'd like it when you, complete this map in general, but there are times where we talk about teams just not completing this map at all here, and I really like what I saw from Pirates in Pajamas on the secondary end of that. Same thing with Timeless. I think that they both played really well around the hacks in particular. Wub has really evolved in terms of just, his hack placement, his scouting as well. I think Haven, too, kind of waiting for Wub to be in these aggressive positions and then hack him out to make sure that they aren't necessarily getting the value off of those dives.
Yeah, it's a peak and valley, and despite there being valleys between Pirates in Pajamas with Strider and Haven finding value, there is enough from Timeless to be able to deny this type of completion and find several occasions that even though Squid is getting these eliminations, Deco is getting picked up by Kuffa. Squid is getting found out by Wub. There's so much applied pressure onto them that they have to now be a lot more cognizant of the timing because there is some decent retaliation from Timeless.
And at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do as a Zenyatta in that scenario, right? Even there's almost so much you can do as an Ana in the same area, right? Because you see every time Squid is dying in those replays, they have Animate on them. The healing is there. It's just you're getting dove on by 4 people, and it's hard for anyone to survive a dive like that. So it's about the rest of the team being able to pick up after that and seeing if they can find any picks off the back end, because Timeless a lot of the time are using a lot of cooldowns just to get into these fights, like the Suzu, like the teleport from the Kiriko, just to try and get this one member. So if the rest of the team can kind of pick up the slack after that, that's where those fights become a little bit easier for Pirates in Pajamas.
And look at how far back you have Squid playing, knowing that they can't be too far forward to get capitalized on. It's going to force a lot of utility and cooldowns to get to that Zenyatta play. Strider respecting the distance as well until they can find a more favorable engagement and garner many more stuns with the pile drive. Nice hack into the pile drive. What a great execution onto that. Strider now can just roll away, get the topped up orb from their support line from Squid, and now force them back.
Yeah, the coordination between these Hammonds and these Sombras is really something to see here. Cal just gets hacked, isn't able to use any of their cooldowns to get out of there, so that's a healer that's lost. It is still going to be Timeless taking this positioning away because they have their respawning.
Pile drive barely gets Kuffa, but still far enough away to come back in with retaliation. Strider threading the needle.
Oh my God.
I cannot believe this sustainability.
I mean, that was through Pulse as well. Like, the supports, again, from Pirates and Pajamas deserve a lot of credit. Deco is actually farmed towards a nano boost right now, so you can throw that onto the Hammond and give him even more survivability in these scenarios.
Not only survivability, but guarantee that you have the minefield as well. Kuffa gets a pickup onto Snozzler, who's a little bit overextended here. Can't quite find the sightlines onto it to give him the healing.
See, as the dive comes in right now. Strider, ooh, gets nanoed.
Yep, is going to get the nano boost up top. Kuffa rounding that box, especially towards the outhouse, but Neptune has been sought out. Cal has to drop underneath, looks for the health pack. Strider eliminated, and that is a big opportunity here that they have finally removed Strider from the equation here, who has been relentless in not only their pursuit on the back line, but also sustaining through the support assistance.
Ooh, the EMP is there from Haven, but the members of Timeless are still staying alive. Kuffa does end up going down eventually, though, and it's just Pirates and Pajamas lighting up this kill feed right now. Timeless were not able to complete that, even though they did use that Kitsune Rush. Now, the good thing for them is that they come back in with an EMP of their own. They're still going to have Sound Barrier. I think it was actually pretty smart from Neptune to just hold on to it, because there's a very good possibility that you like panic and use it in that scenario because you think it's winnable, but you know that you have a really big treasure trove of ultimates in this next fight to just brute force your way through and win.
Ooh, Haven getting sought out, has to translocate. Pulse Bomb whiffs it, by the way. Doesn't land, as there is a takedown finally, with Wub getting the better exchange between the two. So it's a 5 versus 4. Pirates and Pajamas. You can see Squid waiting for these consistent volleys to land in the back, but is clipped. Transcendence comes out just in time before getting executed, so that's a lot of throughput healing down below. Strider getting rid of a lot of those mines in the meantime to open up space to keep contention, but Timeless underneath the small choke point is able to follow through on the back supports, and they're not able to keep Strider any longer alive.
Yeah, that was just a little bit of wallet diff there from Timeless, where they just had to use everything. They had the sustainability, the Sound Barrier perfectly timed as well from Neptune to counteract the Transcendence, and then the rest of the team just hit the go button onto Squid, who had no escapability there. Pirates and Pajamas, though, on the defensive end, still are going to be able to have some ultimates to work with here. Pirates really don't have anything to work with. The closest thing they're going to have is the Kitsune Rush, but that Nano, again, directly onto that backline gets a lot of value with Strider on these pile drives.
Strider again nearing another one of those minefields, looking for consistent pressure. Getting decent value with these engagements, but is caught out in air. No recovery or healing to be found. So this is going to give more time for Timeless to work through, despite them only having 2.5 minutes.
Oh, and they actually nano the Zenyatta, but Deco ends up giving their life for it. They wanted to give the Zen the nano just to give him that extra survivability, but it's not going to be enough against the onslaught, especially when your Ana isn't there to pocket you in that scenario. And now, look at all the room Timeless has to work with, right? And they also have a Kitsune Rush available to them in their back pocket, so they have a lot to work with to weather the storm that Pirates and Pajamas is going to come back in with a Primal Rage, not with Primal Rage, with a Pulse Bomb.
There's a little bit of disjointedness as well. Even though you still have Strider and Haven finding some coordinated plays, I think there is a little bit of too expansive positioning that Pirates and Pajamas are finally being exploited for. Kuffa now sticking close, wanting to guarantee that they reach to the checkpoint. Suzu guarantees they can get out of that. Kitsune Rush now is the go button for this forward momentum. EMP comes out from Haven, attempting to counteract it, but there's still a lot of value to be had within this Kitsune Rush. Pirates and Pajamas know it and need to respect it until it vanishes. They almost get the pickup with that volley from Squid, focusing down that Neptune play on the Lucio, but it's not going to matter. Even with the Kitsune Rush falling, they can't sustain.
And I think what you're seeing from Timeless is a complete shift in like how they've been playing a lot of these fights. They are focusing Strider super hard, really, really hard, and it's incredible how easily they're killing him because they don't even have a Zenyatta. They don't have the Discord Orb, but they're just putting all of their hacks, everything into just killing that Hammond, because realistically, if their Ana isn't there to heal the Hammond, he has no healing himself.
They've found the artery that is pumping the most blood for this team and continuing to cause tension and allow it to not have a cleanly flow.
Look at him!
Underneath, yep, again, being hacked on the high ground and seeing if they can get the follow-up onto it, dropping down below. They do have at least some healing to sustain through it and gets the pack, but this is just consistent force of will by Timeless. A minefield comes in from Strider to keep distance again, but there's a counter minefield as well that Wub is leaning into to make sure that nobody presses forward.
Oh, they gotta get back to cart.
They need to get there and they don't get it! Snozzler can't touch it in time! Timeless is able to take this from under the noses of Pirates in Pajamas. And like I said, with a little bit of disjointed nature, that's a moment where you see it shine bright, and Kuffa's going to get the play of the game. Really hats off to Timeless to be able to take this battle to what we know this composition of Pirates in Pajamas.
And I mean, again, it proves how strong they were as a unit, right? This entire team in their mid-game adaptations, focusing more onto Strider. I mean, we saw Strider's POV for like, what, 30 seconds at the end there? Everything hacked, booped, hacked again, everything was on him, booped again by Kuffa. Like, Strider had a really rough time. And that was just Timeless understanding that this is their kind of go button. If Strider is taken out of these fights, they don't really have any legs to stand on because of how valuable this player is on that hero. So really good from Timeless, I think, adaptation-wise, to find that target and focus it down effectively. And they get a 3-0, and they're going to be moving on the lower side.
A worthwhile battle from both of these teams, and congratulations to Timeless to be able to move on in the losers bracket. And since they are continuing to move on, we will hear a few words from them and how they're feeling as they continue on this road. So don't go anywhere, because we'll be back in just a moment with a few words from them.